At 3:47 p.m. on March 9, 1974, Second Lieutenant Hiroo Onoda of the Imperial Japanese Army stood at attention in the jungles of Lubang Island, Philippines. His finger rested on the trigger of an Arisaka Type 99 rifle. 7.7mm caliber, 8.9 pounds. Effective range, 500 yards. The rifle was 32 years old, still functional. 50 yards ahead stood a man in a Japanese Army uniform, Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, age 73. The man who had sent Onoda to this island in 1944. The man who had given him 3 orders: conduct guerrilla warfare, never surrender, wait for reinforcement. Onoda was 52 years old. He had been fighting World War II for 29 years, 3 months, and 23 days. After Japan's official surrender. He did not believe the war had ended. He believed everything was propaganda. The newspapers, the radio broadcasts, the search parties calling his name. All lies, all tricks to make him surrender. Behind Onoda, in the jungle, lay the evidence. 30 Filipino civilians killed, 100 engagements with police and military, thousands of rounds fired, rice stolen, cattle slaughtered, an entire island terrorized by one man, one soldier, one mission. Onoda's uniform was rotting, patches sewn from stolen cloth, his boots reconstructed from tree bark and wire. His equipment, 500 rounds of ammunition, carefully rationed. 1 samurai sword, 1 combat dagger. 3 hand grenades, constructed from unexploded American bombs he had found in 1958. Major Taniguchi raised his hand, called out, "Lieutenant Onoda, the war is over. Japan surrendered August 15, 1945. I am here to relieve you of duty. Lay down your weapon. Come home." Onoda's finger tightened on the trigger. Is this real? Or the most sophisticated trick yet? Then he stopped. Hiroo Onoda was born March 19, 1922. Kamikawa, Japan. Middle-class family. 4 brothers. Nothing special. At age 17, he worked for a trading company in Wuhan, China. No military background, no samurai ancestors. Just an ordinary clerk in an empire preparing for total war. December 1942. Conscripted, age 20, infantry training at Kurumi Barracks, height 5 feet 6 inches, weight 130 pounds, eyesight poor, required glasses. Assessment, unsuitable for frontline combat, expected assignment, supply corps or administration. But late 1944 changed everything. Japan was collapsing, Guadalcanal lost, Saipan lost, Philippines under invasion. The empire needed something different, not frontline soldiers, special operations, guerrilla fighters, men who could operate alone behind enemy lines for months, years, however long it took. Onoda was selected for Nakano School, Imperial Army Intelligence Academy. The selection criteria were specific: independent thinking, survival instinct, absolute loyalty, psychological resilience. Willingness to die alone if necessary. 8 weeks of training. Guerrilla tactics. Jungle survival in 95-degree heat, 90% humidity. Sabotage techniques. Radio operation. Intelligence gathering. Psychological warfare. One doctrine repeated every single day: never surrender. Death before dishonor. But Onoda's instructor modified those orders. Major Yoshimi Taniguchi pulled him aside, gave him 3 rules. Rule 1, conduct guerrilla operations behind enemy lines. Rule 2, do not commit suicide. Suicide wastes a trained soldier. Rule 3, we will return for you. 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, however long it takes. Wait, Onoda asked, what if it takes 20 years? Taniguchi said, then wait 20 years. Onoda nodded. He understood. December 26, 1944, Onoda arrived on Lubang Island. 75 miles southwest of Manila. Population, 10,000 Filipino civilians. Japanese garrison, 200 soldiers, poorly equipped. Onoda's mission, organize resistance, train troops, prepare for American invasion, never surrender this island, under any circumstances. The Americans landed February 28, 1945. 4 months later. If you want to see how one Japanese soldier fought a war that ended 29 years before he stopped fighting, hit that like button. This is the most extreme case of a soldier refusing to accept reality in military history. Subscribe for more stories like this. Back to Onoda, February 28, 1945. American forces hit Lubang's beaches, 8,000 troops, artillery support, naval bombardment. The Japanese garrison of 200 soldiers lasted 6 days. Most died in the first 48 hours. Survivors scattered into the mountains. By March 6th, organized resistance was over. Onoda retreated into the interior with 3 others. Private Yuichi Akatsu, age 22. Corporal Shoichi Shimada, age 24. Private First Class, Kinshichi Kozuka, age 25. 4 soldiers, 4 rifles, 200 rounds of ammunition between them. But something unexpected happened. The Americans did not pursue. Lubang had no strategic value, no airfield, no deep water port, just farms and jungle. The Americans secured the coastal areas and left. The real war was elsewhere. Iwo Jima, Okinawa, the Japanese mainland. The 4 soldiers established a base camp in the mountains. Elevation 1,200 feet. Dense jungle canopy. Perfect concealment. They waited for orders. None came. August 15, 1945. Emperor Hirohito announced surrender. Japan had lost. The war was over. October 1945. 73 days after the surrender. Onoda found a leaflet, dropped from an American plane, printed in Japanese. Message: the war has ended. Japan surrendered unconditionally. All Japanese soldiers must report to Allied authorities. Emperor Hirohito commands you to lay down your arms. Onoda studied it. Paper quality, too clean. Printing, too professional. Grammar, too formal. His conclusion: sophisticated American psychological warfare. They want us to believe Japan surrendered. We walk out of the jungle. They capture us. Interrogation. Propaganda broadcasts. Force us to tell other soldiers to surrender. He showed the leaflet to the others. Akatsu wanted to believe it. Shimada was uncertain. Kozuka agreed with Onoda. Probably fake. Almost certainly fake. They voted. 3-1. They would wait. Watch for real proof. If Japan truly surrendered, the signs would be obvious. Massive American presence. Japanese officials arriving. Public celebrations. They saw none of these things. Instead, they saw Filipino police searching for them. More leaflets. Loudspeaker broadcasts. All of it confirmed Onoda's theory. Psychological warfare. Advanced, persistent, designed to break them. It would not work. The 4 men made a pact. Continue the mission. Wait for Japanese forces to return. Survive. Fight when necessary. Never surrender. But something was wrong. They would discover it soon. 1946, year 1 of the private war. The 4 soldiers established patterns. Move at night. Never stay in one location more than 48 hours. Steal food from farms, rice, dried fish, coconuts, bananas. Kill cattle when necessary. 1 cow feeds 4 men for 3 weeks if the meat is preserved properly with salt and smoke. The Filipino population knew Japanese soldiers were hiding. Police organized search parties. 15 men. Rifles. Dogs. They entered the jungle twice in March 1946. Both times, Onoda's group ambushed them. 3 police officers killed. 0 Japanese casualties. The police stopped searching after that. October 1946. Private Akatsu broke. The isolation destroyed him. Constant fear. Endless movement. Eating insects when food ran out. His teeth were loose, gums bleeding, malnutrition. He could not take it anymore. During a rainstorm, Akatsu separated from the group. Vanished. The others searched for him for 2 days. Found nothing. Assumed he was dead or captured. 6 months later, Filipino authorities found Akatsu living in a cave. Starving. Delirious. He surrendered. Told authorities, "Onoda and the others will never surrender. They believe the war is still happening." Authorities printed new leaflets, included photos of Akatsu, in civilian clothes, clean, healthy, letters from his family, messages begging the others to come home. Thousands of leaflets dropped over the jungle. Onoda found one in January 1947, studied the photograph, analyzed the letter. Conclusion: Akatsu was captured, brainwashed, coerced into writing propaganda. The photo was staged. The letter was dictated. This proved the Americans were desperate. Their psychological warfare was escalating. 3 soldiers remained: Onoda, Shimada, Kozuka. They continued. 1950. 5 years post-war. The Philippine government offered amnesty. Full pardon, no prosecution, no punishment. Just come home. The offer was broadcast daily on loudspeakers, printed in newspapers, announced on radio. Onoda heard it, rejected it. 5 years was nothing. Major Taniguchi said it might take 20 years. They had 15 years left. 1952. 7 years. Shimada's family flew to Lubang. His brother Shigeo used a military loudspeaker, positioned at the edge of the jungle, called out for 3 hours. "Brother, please come home. Mother is dying. Father is sick with grief. The war is over. Everyone knows this. Please, we love you. Come home." That night Shimada cried. Onoda and Kozuka heard him, quiet sobs in the dark. But morning came. Shimada reaffirmed his commitment. The broadcast was a trick. Voice actors. His real family would never ask him to abandon his post. They would understand duty. They stayed. But doubt had entered the group. Small, growing, dangerous. 1954. 10 years. The 3 soldiers had become something else. Not human, not animal. Something in between. Survival machines. They knew every tree, every trail, every water source on Lubang. 60 square miles of jungle memorized completely. Their tactics evolved: no more direct attacks, too risky. Instead, theft, precision raids, hit farms at 2 a.m., steal rice, vanish before anyone wakes, 1 raid every 3 weeks, just enough food to survive, never enough to thrive. Their equipment was deteriorating. The Arisaka rifles were rusting. Ammunition was down to 180 rounds total. Each bullet was precious. They practiced dry firing. Click. Work the bolt. Click. Muscle memory without wasting ammunition. Onoda calculated. At current consumption rate, ammunition would last 47 years if they only fired when absolutely necessary. They could outlast any American occupation. 1959. 15 years. Kozuka's health was failing. His teeth were gone. Gums infected. Constant pain. Malnutrition had weakened his bones. At age 39, he looked 60. He suggested something unthinkable. Maybe we should consider surrender. Onoda's response was immediate. No, desertion is unacceptable. Orders are orders. Shimada agreed. They continued. 1960, May 7th. Filipino patrol spotted them near a river, 20 yards away. The patrol opened fire. No warning. No surrender demand. Just shooting. The soldiers scattered, regrouped 2 days later at a prearranged location. Onoda arrived. Kozuka arrived. Shimada did not arrive. They searched for 9 days, found nothing. Weeks passed. Months. No sign of Shimada. December 1960. Onoda found the grave. Shallow. Poorly hidden. He dug. Shimada's body. 5 bullet wounds. Chest. Abdomen. The police had killed him and buried him in the jungle. Onoda and Kozuka performed Japanese funeral rites, prayers. Shimada's rifle planted as a grave marker. Now there were 2. 1965. 20 years since surrender. Onoda was 43. Kozuka was 45. Japan had changed completely. Economic miracle. Tokyo Olympics. Bullet trains. The world had moved on. President Marcos of the Philippines made another offer. Broadcast directly. Any Japanese soldiers still hiding will receive full amnesty. No prosecution, no punishment. Come home. Onoda analyzed the broadcast. Marcos was elected in 1965. He was pro-American. Obviously, this was an American puppet making American promises. A trap. They stayed. 1972. May 22nd. 27 years. Filipino police spotted 2 men stealing rice from a warehouse. Opened fire. 1 man fell. Kinshichi Kozuka, age 52. Single bullet through the chest. Died instantly. Onoda was alone. Completely alone. He carried Kozuka's body into the jungle. Buried him next to Shimada. 2 graves. 2 brothers. Hiroo Onoda, age 50. Last soldier of the Imperial Japanese Army. Fighting a war that ended before most Filipinos were born. Then the world noticed. Kozuka's death exploded internationally. Headlines. Japanese soldier found after 27 years. News crews flew to Lubang. Journalists interviewed villagers. Everyone had stories about the ghost in the jungle. The Japanese government declared Onoda officially alive. For 27 years he was listed as missing, presumed dead. Now they knew. He was real. Still fighting, still dangerous. Japan sent search parties, veterans, his brother Tadao. They used loudspeakers, broadcast messages, dropped photographs. Modern Japan, skyscrapers, prosperity, proof the war ended. Onoda saw everything, believed nothing. His logic was airtight. If Japan truly lost, why search for him? Why not just leave him to die? The search proved something was wrong. Japan was under American occupation, forced to recall him. He would not cooperate. 1973. February. A 24-year-old Japanese college dropout named Norio Suzuki decided to find Onoda. Suzuki had 3 life goals. Find Onoda. Find a panda. Find the abominable snowman. In that order. Suzuki bought a plane ticket to Manila, took a ferry to Lubang, walked into the jungle with a backpack, a camera, and 0 training. He wandered for 3 days, shouting, "Lieutenant Onoda, I am Japanese, not your enemy. Let's talk." Most people thought he was insane. He probably was, but his insanity worked. Day 4. February 20th, 1973, 4:30 p.m. Suzuki was resting near a stream, heard a noise, turned. Onoda stood 10 feet away, rifle aimed at Suzuki's head. Suzuki did not move, spoke quickly in Japanese. The war ended. 1945. Japan lost. Please come home. Onoda lowered the rifle slightly, said, "I have heard this before. Every search party says the same thing. Words are meaningless." Suzuki asked, "What would you believe?" Onoda thought carefully, then answered, "Orders. From my commanding officer, Major Yoshimi Taniguchi, the man who sent me here. The only man I will obey. Bring him here. Have him order me to surrender. Then I will believe." Suzuki asked, "What if he is dead?" Onoda said, "Then I will never surrender." They talked for 2 hours. Onoda explained his logic, his tactics, his conviction. This was not insanity. This was perfect rationality applied to false premises. Onoda was not crazy. He was just completely, utterly wrong. Suzuki asked permission to take photographs. Onoda agreed. One condition. Do not reveal my exact location. Suzuki promised. They separated. Onoda disappeared into the jungle. Suzuki returned to Japan with proof. Something was about to change. February 26, 1973. Suzuki's photographs hit Japanese newspapers. Proof. Onoda was alive, still in uniform, still armed, still fighting. The Japanese government faced a problem. Onoda demanded orders from Major Taniguchi, but Taniguchi retired in 1945. He was 73 years old, running a bookstore in Wakayama. He had not thought about the war in decades. Officials contacted Taniguchi, explained, Onoda is still following your orders from 1944. He will only surrender to you. You must go to the Philippines. Taniguchi was horrified. He sent Onoda to Lubang 30 years ago. Never imagined he would still be there. Still fighting. Still waiting. But Taniguchi agreed. He would go. He would end this. March 9th, 1974. Taniguchi flew to Manila. Military escort provided by President Marcos. Suzuki guided them to the meeting location, a clearing, previously arranged through messages left in the jungle. They set up carefully. Japanese flag on a pole. Taniguchi stood in the center wearing his old Imperial Army uniform. The uniform did not fit. 30 years of peace had changed his body. 3:47 p.m. Onoda appeared, walked slowly from the tree line, rifle across his back, sword at his side. He studied the scene, looking for traps, ambush positions, hidden soldiers. Taniguchi called out, Lieutenant Onoda, I am Major Taniguchi. I have come to relieve you of duty. Onoda stopped, stared. This could be a trick, an impersonator, a trap. Taniguchi continued. The war ended August 15, 1945. Emperor Hirohito ordered all Japanese forces to surrender. I am here to officially rescind your orders. You are to cease all combat operations immediately. Return to Japan. This is a direct order. Onoda walked closer, looked into Taniguchi's eyes. The major was older, weaker, but his voice was the same. His posture was the same. This was real. Onoda's hands trembled. He dropped to his knees, placed his rifle on the ground, unbuckled his sword, removed his ammunition pouches, his grenades, his dagger. 30 years of war, laid down in 30 seconds. He stood, came to attention, saluted. Tears streamed down his face. Major Taniguchi returned the salute. His voice cracked. You have served well, Lieutenant. Your orders are complete. Your war is over. Come home. Onoda collapsed. 3 decades of tension released. He wept. Not from joy, from loss. Everything he believed, everything he fought for, all of it was a lie. But at least now he knew. March 10th, 1974. Onoda was flown to Manila. Philippine authorities processed him. The charges were serious. 30 civilians killed over 29 years, hundreds of thefts, destruction of property, by any definition, terrorism. But President Marcos made a decision. Full pardon. Immediate. Marcos understood something others did not. Onoda was not a criminal. He was a soldier who never stopped fighting. Prosecuting him would accomplish nothing. March 12th. Onoda landed in Tokyo. 10,000 people waited at the airport. Reporters, cameras, crowds. Onoda stepped off the plane in his tattered uniform, rifle in hand. He looked around, confused, overwhelmed. This was not the Japan he remembered. Cars everywhere. Neon lights, buildings of glass and steel. He left in 1944 from a nation at total war. He returned to an economic superpower he did not recognize. Press conference. Hundreds of questions shouted simultaneously. Onoda answered mechanically. Yes, I killed people. Yes, I stole supplies. Yes, I believed the war continued. No, I do not regret my actions. I followed my orders. One journalist pushed harder. Do you feel foolish? You wasted 29 years for nothing. Onoda's response was immediate. I did not waste anything. I followed my orders. A soldier's duty is obedience. I maintained my post. I survived. If that is foolishness, then I am a fool. The room went silent. Then half the room applauded. The other half sat in stunned silence. Japan was divided. Some called him a hero, the last true samurai, a man of absolute loyalty. Others called him a murderer, a fanatic, a relic who killed civilians because he refused to think. Onoda did not care. He was drowning. Japan had lost. The empire was destroyed. His mission was meaningless. His sacrifices were worthless. Shimada died for nothing. Kozuka died for nothing. 30 Filipinos died for a war that was already over. He visited the families. Kozuka's mother, Shimada's father, apologized for not bringing their sons home. Both families forgave him, said the same thing. You were following orders. You all were. But forgiveness did not help. Onoda tried to live in modern Japan. It was impossible. People complained about traffic, about weather, about service at restaurants. Onoda had eaten insects for protein, drank rainwater filtered through sand, slept in trees to avoid patrols. He could not relate to modern problems. He did not fit anywhere. Then, he made a decision. 1975. Onoda wrote a memoir. No surrender, my 30-year war. Clinical, detailed, no emotion, just facts, tactics, survival methods. The book became a bestseller immediately, but success brought new problems. Fame, attention, interviews. Everyone wanted to meet the soldier who fought for 30 years. Onoda hated it. He did not want to be a celebrity. He wanted to be a soldier. But there was no war to fight. Modern Japan suffocated him. The softness, the consumerism, the forgotten discipline. People had everything and appreciated nothing. They wasted food, wasted time, wasted life. Onoda, who had rationed bullets for 30 years, could not stand the waste. May 1975. Onoda made a decision. He would leave Japan, find somewhere wild, somewhere survival still mattered, somewhere he could live by the rules that made sense to him. He chose Brazil, specifically Mato Grosso do Sul, remote, undeveloped, jungle similar to Lubang. He bought 1,250 acres with money from his book, built a ranch, named it Colonia Jamek. No electricity initially, no running water, just land, cattle, hard work. For the first time since 1945, Onoda felt peace. The jungle made sense. Hard work made sense. Survival made sense. 1984. Onoda married. A Japanese woman named Machi. She did not try to change him, did not ask him to explain. She just accepted him. They lived simply, raised cattle, grew crops, but the past would not release him. He dreamed about Kozuka, about Shimada, about the Filipinos he killed. Every night. The same dreams, the same faces. 1996. Onoda returned to Lubang for the first time in 22 years, brought $10,000, donated it to build a school. His apology to the people he terrorized. He met with families of his victims, apologized personally. Some forgave him, many did not. One widow spat at his feet, said, "My husband died because you were too proud to admit you were wrong. Your apology means nothing." Onoda accepted it, said, "You're right, I have no defense." But he also did something else. He established a survival camp on Lubang, teaching young people discipline, self-reliance, wilderness skills, the skills that kept him alive for 30 years. The camp operated for 15 years. Thousands of students, Japanese, Filipino, American, learning from the man who survived the longest solo mission in military history. But Onoda was aging. Time was catching up. The jungle that preserved him was now behind him. One war ended. Another war was beginning. Against time. January 16, 2014. Hiroo Onoda died in Tokyo, age 91, pneumonia. His body finally surrendered to time. His death made international headlines. Last holdout dies, World War II's longest soldier, the man who fought for 30 years. Every major newspaper covered it. Most got the story wrong. His funeral was massive. Hundreds attended. Veterans, students, politicians. The Prime Minister sent a personal message. Onoda represented something Japan had lost. Absolute commitment, unwavering discipline, loyalty beyond reason. But his legacy is complicated. He was not a hero. He killed 30 civilians, terrorized an island, refused to accept reality for 3 decades. He caused immense suffering because he would not question his orders. Some view him as tragic, a victim of military indoctrination so complete he could not distinguish duty from madness. Others see him as the ultimate soldier, a man who kept his word no matter the cost, no matter how insane that cost became. The truth exists between these extremes. Onoda was a product of Nakano School training. Total obedience, never question orders, never surrender. Die before dishonor. He followed those principles to their absolute extreme, and in doing so, wasted 29 years fighting an enemy that no longer existed. But from Onoda's perspective, he succeeded. He followed his orders. He survived impossible conditions. He maintained his honor. When he finally surrendered, it was not because he was defeated. It was because his commanding officer released him from duty. By his own standards, he won. Today, Onoda's story is taught in military academies worldwide, not as an example to follow, but as a warning about the danger of blind obedience, about questioning orders, about the line between duty and fanaticism. His rifle, the Arisaka Type 99 he carried for 30 years, sits in a museum in Tokyo. His uniform, his sword, his ammunition pouch, all preserved as artifacts of a man who could not let go. Hiroo Onoda's 30-year war was not glorious. It was not heroic. It was tragic. A waste of life. A waste of potential. But it was also a demonstration of human willpower at its absolute extreme. The capacity of the human mind to maintain conviction in the face of overwhelming evidence, to believe something so completely that reality itself cannot penetrate. That is Onoda's true legacy. Not heroism, not villainy, just the terrifying power of absolute belief. If this story moved you the way it moved us, hit that like button right now. Every like tells YouTube to share this story with more people. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We rescue stories like this from history every single day. Drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. Tell us if someone in your family served. Let us know you're here. Thank you for watching. And thank you for making sure Hiroo Onoda's story, complicated as it is, doesn't disappear into silence. These stories, even the difficult ones, deserve to be remembered.